Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my parents' basement in the great state of Kansas. And I'm doing a live stream talking about or revealing my top 10 favorite bands of all time as of right now, as I'm making this list. Because to be honest, it could change as I'm getting to more bands, more albums, and I'm discovering more bands as I go. There's still definitely more bands I have not dived into all their discography, and definitely when I do that, it could always change. Because the reason why these bands are on here is because I've gone through all like pretty much all their discography, and that's why I really fall in love with some of these bands. Where sometimes the bands like I kind of know their big hits, but I'm like not totally in love with the band. And then when I go through their whole discography, and I find like all these great hidden gem songs, and I find some really great albums I never heard of. Then that elevates the band for me. So these are definitely bands that I've delved into and absolutely love their discography, and have so many amazing songs and love their overall sound. So when I put my 10 together, I go, yeah, these are the 10 bands that I want to get multiple albums from, and I have big playlists for them and all that. Um, Now, I actually did this video a couple days ago on my phone, but I have no like iPhone storage. Like that's been always a real problem for me. Is anytime I make a video, I can't make it very long, or it's like you have no storage. Anyway, so I actually shot this video like Monday or Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. I shot this video Sunday, and no storage. So I was like, crap. I did all that for nothing. So I'm kind of redoing this again. This time I'm going to do a live stream, so I don't have to worry about storage space. So I might have to be doing more live streams because of that. Um, I got a viewer. All right, let's see. Hey, how's it going, Nick? Glad to see you. You might like some of my choices here, actually, partly because of you. Some of these bands are on my list that we've discovered together, or you've helped me discover. Um, but yeah, getting into my top 10 bands, there are a couple bands that came very close to making my top 10, but barely missed out, um, that I really considered. One was Chicago. I really, really love Chicago. I love their overall sound. And I really had them in my top 10 originally, but then they kind of bumped them out. And that's mostly because I haven't really heard a Chicago album that I absolutely love. And there's a lot of good Chicago songs out there. I guess they're really good singles and stuff. But like I listened to their first album, there's some good stuff. I think it has like Saturday in the Park and Beginnings, some really great stuff. But then it has so much filler music in that album, so it's kind of like it kind of ruins the album to being a really great album. The Chicago Transit Authority, the first album. And then I have Chicago 2 on record, and it's a pretty good album. It's probably the best album maybe I've heard so far. Again, it's a double album, which I hate that they keep making these double albums. I think it hurts their discography. It's a pretty good album though. It has 2564, which is my favorite Chicago song on it, and I can't remember what else, but it's overall pretty good. And then I got Chicago 3, and it's really not a good album. It's just a lot of filler music and nothing big on it. Anyways, and then I also have, I think, Chicago 16 and 17, I think I have as well. And that's their later period where they're more of a pop band instead of a jazzy rock band. And their ballads are really great. And like Chicago 16 and 17 are pretty good. I'm not totally in love with them, but they're pretty good albums. But I love, like, yeah, You're My Inspiration and stuff like that. I love Peter Cetera's voice. What a great voice he has. Besides the fact that, like, the musicianship is so good, and they have a lot of lead singers, and the horn section is amazing. Um, Toby, was it the Toby? I'm getting my names wrong. I forget the guitar player for Chicago is so good, and then I think the piano player's Lamb, I think his name is also very good. Anyways, there's a lot to like about Chicago, but because I haven't gone through the whole discography either. Maybe if I go through the whole discography, I'll fall in love with more of some of their albums. But right now, I don't have really a lot of great albums from them that I'm like, yeah, I'd love to put this album on and listen to it. So I kind of hurt Chicago enough that I bumped them out of my top 10. Um, Nick says, I'm not a big Chicago guy. I prefer the 80s ballad stuff. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I kind of always preferred the 80s ballad stuff. and the great harmonies like that. But I do love some of the early stuff as well. But yeah, another band I really consider, but the only reason why they're not in here probably is because I haven't gone through their discography, and that is U2. But I do love a lot of U2 songs. I think Bono is a great lead singer. I'm a big fan of him. Um, Obviously, Josh's Tree is a really good album. I have that album and I've listened to that many times. It has like three favorite U2 songs on it. Streets with No Name. Uh, with You, Without You, I think it is. Um, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I mean, three amazing songs on there. Um, but I haven't gone through all their albums. I've gone through a couple albums, and I just listened to a little bit of War, I think, the other day, and I thought it sounded like a pretty good album. So once I get to that album, that my album might go up my list of like really good albums of theirs. I think I listened to the first album. I didn't like it very much, but I do love stuff like Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, or whatever. There's a couple of early stuff that I've heard that's pretty good. Um, like and there's One is really good, of course. And then later, like the Beautiful Day is a really good song. And I heard that album that won like album of the year. I didn't like it very much, but anyway, so U2, it's like there's so many great like singles that I really love out of the band, but I haven't delved into them enough to go, yeah, they're one of my top 10 bands. So once I delve into them, I'll have a little better perspective to see if they make it into my top 10. Um, Also, I mentioned CCR didn't make my top 10 because they have one album that I really love, and that's Cosmos Factory. And then like Willie and the Poor Boys is pretty good, and Pendulum I think is okay. And then the last album is really bad, and I think the first album's okay actually, and was it Green River, whatever is decent. Um, I don't know. They don't have that many albums, and the only one I really love is Cosmos Factory. So, and they do have a lot of good hits, and it's a great rock band with I love Fogerty's vocals. So yeah, they didn't quite make it in there because I'm just not quite as in love with their discography, I guess, enough to put them in there. Another band I really like is ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, and New World Record. I absolutely love that album. It's one of my favorite. Out of Blue is a really good album as well, and there's a couple other albums I like, but I'm not in love with a lot of their albums. I like them okay, and they do have a lot of good stuff overall. But I don't know. There's just not enough there for me to put them in my top 10. Tom Petty and Heartbreakers I consider. Again, it's another one where I love Damn the Torpedoes. I love Into the Great Wide Open. But that's only two albums I really love out of the discography. And there's a lot of great Tom Petty songs, but just not enough for me to put it in there. Another band, Coldplay, I considered because I do like a lot of Coldplay songs, and I do love their sound. And I think they have a couple of really good albums. A Rush of Blood to the Head's my favorite one. But Parachute's pretty good as well. And I love Milo Exulto, whatever. It's pretty good out. And they have a lot of good stuff as well. But I don't know. I haven't delved into enough to put them on my list. So those are just a couple of bands that I considered pretty close to getting my top 10, but didn't make it in there. Anyway, so saying all that, we'll get to my number 10 favorite band at this time. And number 10 on my list is The Association. And if Nick is in there, he'll be happy for me to hear me say that because we went through all the Association albums together actually and reviewed them on his channel. And that's where I really got to know the band. I was like a fan of the band before that, and I hadn't really heard all their albums. I just knew a couple of their hit songs, and I was like, man, I really love their overall sound. Like I knew their four big hits. And then I got Renaissance, their second album. I happened to get it at a used record store. I was like, I don't know the album, but I was like, I like The Association, so I bought the album. I love the album. It's like a favorite album of mine. A 10 out of 10. It's my favorite album from them, The Association. And when I got that album, I was like, man, I really love their overall sound. Even their deep cuts, I think, are really excellent. And they just have a great. I mean, mostly it's just they have the greatest harmony. Some of the greatest harmonies I've heard out of a band. I love the harmonies. Love their. They're more of pop. I would say it's kind of in that folk rock era, but they're maybe more like a pop rock, pop folk or something like that band. And they do go more in sometimes the sunshine pop style that I really like. So they do make some really great pop music that's very catchy, and they also make some incredible ballads. But yeah, it's just the band itself. It's like a lot of members in the band, and they all can sing, they all can write songs, it feels like. So you have a lot of different lead singers. So it's so fun when you get to an album and they really spread out the people that are singing, so you get to hear everybody on each song, lead or co-lead sing a song, whatever that they someone's written. And so I think that's what makes them so good. And again, they're such an underrated band. Of course, I'm the only person that probably has the Association in their top 10. And people are probably like, who's Association? Uh, Check them out. I absolutely love them. Uh, and it's just their overall sound. And I love bands that have multiple lead singers and singer songwriters. And besides that, the harmonies, they sound so great together. So many of them, it's just a really cool band, and the way they've constructed the band, I think, and how they came together. Anyways, but yeah, when me and Nick went through the albums, though, I really love a lot of their albums. Like they only have 7 albums, so they didn't have a big discography, but like 5 of the 7 albums I really like. I think there's 5 like really good albums in there. That's a pretty good percentage overall. Their first album, Along Comes Association, I think it was a really good album. I gave it 9 out of 10. You have Along Comes Mary, their first big single, really nice, catchy song. And then Cherish, the first number one single to come off the album, is a really great ballad, love ballad. Anyways, love that song. So you got 2 really good songs there, but they have a lot of other deep cuts, which I don't have them all written down, but the rest of the album still is very, very good. I think that has like Enter the Young or something like that as the first song. Really good first song for them. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on that album. And then like I said, Renaissance, I love that album. 10 out of 10 album for me. No big hits, but I love No Fair at All. I think that's an amazing song. It's my second favorite Association song. And it's just like, you got to hear the song No Fair at All. It's got the best harmonies I've ever heard on a song. I mean, when they sing together, it's just heavenly bliss. And I absolutely love it. Anyways, and yeah, it should have been a big hit. It's so good. And everybody I talked to that has listened to this album, they all agree that's the best song on the album. No Fair at All. Anyways, but a lot of good stuff. I'm the One is great. I think Members of You is an amazing song. Their Closer, Another Time, Another Place. There's just a lot of great stuff on this album. It's crazy that it's not a bigger album, or these aren't big songs. They all should have been. But yeah, Love Renaissance. Their third album, Inside Out, is another absolutely incredible album. I gave it 9.5, not quite 10, but it's pretty close to a 10 out of 10 album for me. It has my favorite Association song on it, Never My Love, one of the best love songs and one of the best 60 songs of all time. Me and Nick, I know Nick in there, we both agree that's the best. That's our favorite Association song, is Never My Love. It is so good. The harmonies, just the loveliness of the melody. It's just the flute or recorder or whatever solo. So good. Love that song, but I know there's other great stuff on there as well. Windy, of course, another big hit on there. Nice, more upbeat, catchy song. Um, I know there's a lot of other great stuff. I don't remember everything, but really good album, Inside Out. I definitely recommend that. The fourth album, Birthday, is another really good album. I give it an 8.5, a little lower, but still really solid album. Incense, what's it called? Something Incense and Rose Petals, Incense and a Kitty. Oh, great ballad. Love that song. And I don't know if that's the one that has Requiem for the Masses or something like that. It was a really cool closer on one of those albums. That's much different. Anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. Then their fifth and sixth albums aren't very good, but then their seventh album I thought was actually really good and gave that a 9 out of 10 as well. Darling Come Home Soon. I love that song off that album. And yeah, overall, actually not a bad album. I said really good album, gave 9 out of 10. Yeah, so there's 5 really good albums there. And again, I just love bands that have great harmonies. And Association is one of those bands no one talks about, but man, they have some of the best harmonies you've ever heard. And again, very underrated, have a lot of good stuff. So yeah, number 10, the Association might be a surprise. But when I was looking at my list, I was like, I had to put Association in there. I just really love a lot of their songs and their albums. So for me, and I'm a big fan of the 60s, of course, about every band here are 60s or 70s band. I mean, maybe a little bit of 80s, but they're definitely, that's my favorite period, the 60s and 70s. So that's where you're going to hear most of my picks coming from. Let's see. Yeah, Nick Carey says, I love the Association. It's a shame we're the only guys in the group who. I know me and Nick are the only guys who talk about them, and like we try to tell everybody they're so good. You gotta check out the Association. They're one of the best that no one ever talks about. Um, yeah, we both love Never My Love is an amazing song. Um, yeah, Requiem for the Masses is in Inside Out. Okay, so I think it's a closer for Inside Out. That is such a great song, closing out the album. Kind of getting almost trying to get psychedelic, not quite, or they're trying to make a political kind of thing, but it's I don't know, it's a little different than what they normally do. There's like a lot of key changes in it, some military drumming in there, but really cool song. Anyways, but yeah, Association number 10 on my list. Number 9, this is another band that I never thought would make my list, but because of my friends in the Music Junkies, we went through all their albums, and I had to put them in here because there's just too many great albums. And that is Fleetwood Mac here, number 9 on my list. Yeah, I never thought myself as a big Fleetwood Mac fan, even though I knew a lot of their big hits growing up on the radio. I mean, I definitely heard a lot of all their big stuff, and they have a lot of hits. And I thought they're pretty good, but I never delved into any of their albums before, except for Rumors. Rumors is the only album I've owned, and I still own, I think. And I always thought that was a pretty good album, but I never like loved it as much as everybody else. And maybe it's because it was just overhyped or something like that. And I just thought, oh, this album's a little overhyped. Maybe this band's a little overhyped, and I just never got into them. But then uh, my friends at Music Junkies, they were going through all of the albums of Fleetwood Mac a couple of years ago. I think I want to say Nick and Scott and maybe Briar. I can't remember. I think Briar was there. I think it was those three maybe. And so they were going through them, and I was watching their videos, and I learned so much about Fleetwood Mac, and they kind of became a very interesting band to me because I always thought Fleetwood Mac was the band that has Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham in it. I had no idea there was a time before when they weren't in the band. That kind of blew my mind. Like, what? The fact that they started out as this bluesy rock band like really surprised me. Like, I had no idea they were a bluesy rock band to begin with. The Pete Green kind of like period at the beginning. And they did all these bluesy rock albums, and they made one of the most notorious albums of Mr. Wonderful, I think it's called. Where the first time I remember hearing them talk about that and going, yeah, he does the same guitar riff on 4 different songs, and I was like, they gotta be kidding. No one's that stupid to do 4 to do 4 songs with the same guitar riff. Like, how would you get away with that? And they were right. There was 4 songs on that album that have the same guitar riff, and that's been such a funny joke in our group. We joke about that all the time, because it's just one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in music, that happened. Anyways, and so that got me more interested in like what is going on with this band. And then they go out of their bluesy period, and they kind of finally go into more of a pop period with Bob Welch, I think his name is, who joins the group and becomes the lead singer and songwriter and all that, plays guitar. And so then they did, I don't know, 4 or so albums with him, which I never heard of Bob Welch. And so I didn't know there's this Bob Welch period or whatever. So that's kind of interesting, kind of getting into that and going, oh, okay, so this is the other period. Anyways, and finally in like 1975, we finally get the Fleetwood Mac that I knew and I thought was Fleetwood Mac, which is when Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joined the group, and they've become really a pop group. It's a really nice pop group, whatever. And that's when all their big hits come out of that period, and all their big albums come out of that period. So to me, when I put Fleetwood Mac here number 9, I'm talking about that period. I really love the Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks period of the band, which is like kind of the last period of the band, the third kind of incarnation or so. There's been a lot of incarnations, but basically if you break into 3, that's like the third incarnation of the band. So the first band with the Pete Green bluesy rock is basically like a totally different band from the pop band that we get in the 70s and into the 80s and all that, and even to the 90s. Anyway, so it's very interesting, their whole history besides that. But yeah, so I wasn't expecting to get into them, but then when my friends were going through them, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go through all their albums too. So I know what my friends are talking about when they're reviewing these albums. So I went through their albums, and of course I hated the bluesy rock period. And I guess there's a group that love the bluesy rock period. They don't like the pop period. Well, I'm opposite. I like pop. I don't like bluesy rock. So I hated the bluesy rock stuff. Definitely were terrible albums. The Bob Welch stuff I didn't like at first, but the more I've heard it, the more I'm kind of getting more into that period. I think Mystery to Me and Heroes Hard to Find are pretty good. I know there's like Penguins, another album that they did. Um, I'm getting more into those albums where I gave them actually pretty decent scores the last time I went through them. So those are getting better. But man, this is where it gets good. When they get to the Fleetwood Mac self-titled album, that album there's one of the greatest runs of albums I've ever heard. And I don't know, after I heard those albums, I was like, man, I really love the overall Fleetwood Mac sound with this group that they put together. Like I said, in the third incarnation. But Fleetwood Mac, the self-titled album, yeah, I thought that was a great album. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It has one of my favorite songs, Landslide, in it. I absolutely love that song. I know Sarah's maybe in that album. I'll say Over My Head's on the album. A couple of really big hits on the album, but overall, it's a really nice sounding album. Like I said, I love Stevie Nicks' voice. I think she has an amazing voice. And Buckingham, I think, a great guitar player. I think they had a really good guitar player there, and he also sings, good as well. And you already have Chrissy McVie there, so you have three just really great singers and songwriters. You have three people who can write the songs and they can lead sing. Again, I love that. I talked about the association. I talked about here in Fleetwood Mac. I just love the fact that they have three different people that can like lead it, and they all have a different style to them a little bit. So you get something different on each album. Where I mean, Stephen Nicks and McVie maybe do more of the best ballad type songs and pop songs, while Buckingham maybe does a little more upbeat rock songs. So but it gives it a different dynamic that I really like about this band. I'm really liking about these albums, anyways. So yeah, Fleetwood Mac, I thought was a great album. And then you get Rumors. I mean, I've grown to really love that album. It's now in my top 20 favorite albums of all time. Uh, yeah, it's like 8 hit songs on the album, and it's got like 5 of my favorite songs on it. From them, The Chain is my favorite song from Fleetwood Mac, and yeah, I love that. Dreams is a great Stevie Nicks song. Go Your Own Way is a great Lindsey Buckingham song on there. Besides, yeah, multiple other really great stuff on there. Yeah, Rumors, just one of the great pop albums of all time. 10 out of 10, easily. Then you get Tusk, I think, after that, which is an interesting double album. And I really like Tusk. I gave it a 9.5, even though it's a double album. It's very experimental. There's stuff like that I'm not as into usually, but still, it's got some great stuff on there. I don't remember exactly what songs are on there. I think I know there's like a Buckingham song I really like. You Think You're the One or something like that. Is there a song called Tusk that's really good as well? And there's a couple of Stevie Nicks songs I'm forgetting top of my mind that I really love on that album. Uh, that are kind of good deep cuts as well. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good album overall. And then The Mirage is my second favorite Fleetwood Mac album that I give a 10 out of 10 as well. And just a really great overall production. I think Gypsy's on that album, if I'm right, which is a great song. But yeah, it's another really, really great album that I don't think it's talked about as much as like Rumors. But man, I really like The Mirage. Really great overall sounding album production. Like I said, I love the harmonies that they have and just some great pop melodies. And I love that, one person singing and then the backing vocals are so good as well. Not to mention, I mean, the drumming and the bass playing is very good as well. But anyways, so yeah, The Mirage, and then I think you got Tingle in the Night. Another album, I think I gave a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I mean, there's like a string of 4 or 5 albums that I gave all 9s and aboves. That's pretty good for any band. It's very hard to do that for any band. So Fleetwood Mac is like one of those bands for me that has that many really great albums. So that's why it's in my top 10 favorite bands because of that, because I absolutely love these albums that they put out. And the big surprise is I love Time. I know everybody says Time is the worst album. I love Time. I give Time a 10 out of 10, which is probably crazy because Stevie Nicks isn't even on the album. That's my favorite singer in the band. I think Lindsey Buckingham Buckingham's not on the album, so they got some other people to kind of fill in for Buckingham and Nicks. And it's a little more country because they got some country people on there. I still really like the album. It still has some really great stuff on it. Some very underappreciated hidden gems on there. And the singer that they brought in, which I'm forgetting her name, I actually really like her. I thought she's a really good singer. Some say she's not very good. I thought she did a really good job. And yeah, anyways, I actually love that album. So I'm a defender of Time. Behind the Mask not so good, and Say You Will's not so good. But just for that period of 5, 6 albums they have, they are so good, and there's so many memorable songs in there. So yeah, Fleetwood Mac kind of surprised me even that it made it to my list. But here's at number 9 on my list. Number 8, Nick will be happy to hear this one on my list because of him basically. And number 8, I have the Kinks in my top 10. Yeah, the Kinks is another band that I was never like hugely into. I didn't really listen to any of their albums. I knew, some of their big early hits in the '60s. I thought they were just a '60s band, and then I found out that they made 24 albums. They went from like maybe 63, 64, and spanned all the way to the '90s. I think they had one album in the '90s. So I didn't realize they spanned it that much and had that many songs and that many albums. It was kind of definitely another surprise for me. That mind blown that that Kinks did the kind of albums they put out is very kind of mind blowing as well. But I mostly just knew girl, you really got me going. That song, you really got me, like great rock song. Um, anyways, and I'm forgetting the other one, but um, anyways, they have a couple of really good, like maybe 2 really good rock songs early on. And then me and Nick did the whole discography on his channel, all 24 albums. Those are one of the longest discographies we ever went through. But we went through all 24 albums of the Kinks and reviewed them on the channel, and then did like top 10, and we ranked all the albums, I think, and we did like top 25 songs. Anyway, so we really went through the Kinks. So yeah, so when I went through them, I kind of went around and saying I really like the Kinks, and they surprised me by how many great albums they had. I thought they might have a couple good albums, and then there'd be like a peak period of like the '60s, maybe early '70s, and then the '80s and '90s would be horrible albums. Like that's what I expected, but no, they had some good later albums as well. Starting with the '60s, getting into like first 2 albums weren't that great. They're still kind of finding their sound. They're doing more like these bluesy rock stuff, but then they found out, I think it's called King. I want to say King's Controversy as an album I really liked and had some really good stuff on it. Um, and then Face or Something Else by the Kinks has my favorite Kinks song on it, Waterloo Sunset. Absolutely love Waterloo Sunset. That was a really cool discovery when I first heard that song go, because I never heard it on the radio. And I go, wow, this is like one of the best songs I've ever heard, and it's not a big radio hit as far as I knew. And so that was really cool hearing Waterloo Sunset. Just really loving that song. Um, but Face to Face was a really good album. So there's some really good early albums, and then you get into that like really big period, the pop kind of concept album period with Village Green Preservation Society, which I know is a lot of people's favorite album. It's not my favorite album, but I do like the album. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Picture Book, love that song, one of my favorite songs from them. As well as like the first couple songs are so good. I think David Watts, I think, is one of the songs. I'm forgetting all the songs, but lots of great stuff on that album. And then Arthur after that is another cool concept album. Shangri-La is a great song. Victoria, some good stuff there. I give that a 9 out of 10. And then Lola, which is kind of their most well-known album at this period. I really like that album. I give that a 9 out of 10 as well. Lola, one of my favorite songs from them. And what I like about Lola and what I like about the Kinks is they do have a really good sense of humor about them. And there's a lot of funny songs that they have, like not like Weird Al funny, but just lyrically, though, pretty funny stuff. I mean, I know Nick loves Death of a Clown is a really cool song by Dave Davies. But yeah, so then Lola, great. It's a really funny song. And musically, I love it. It's just so catchy. 8 Man is also really great on that album. Anyway, so yeah, Lola, really good kind of rock album, I would say. Yeah, Something Else has Waterloo Sunset. Yeah, I think I said that. Something Else by the Kinks. Yeah, Waterloo Sunset. And Nick is pretty happy. Yeah, I knew you'd be happy about that, Nick, that I got the Kinks in here. Number 8 on my list. what I figured after Lola, like I figured okay, that's the last good album. They're gonna be terrible after that. No, that is not the case. They actually made some really good albums after that, which really surprised me, and I think surprised Nick as well. I really liked Everybody's in Show Business. I think it's called Everybody's in Show Business or something like that, which I actually have on vinyl. I really love that album. I give it a 9.5 out of 10, and it's because has two of my favorite songs on it. Celluloid Heroes is my second favorite Kink song. Man, just I was blown away by that song. Really well lyrically crafted, and I love just the movie references in there. Is really great. And also, In My Hotel Room is a really great written song and just a really great pop song or kind of more ballad type song. Those two songs are so good, and there's a lot of other good stuff on the album, but really love that song. The album that really surprised me how much I was like, wow, this I didn't had no idea I was gonna like this Kinks album. Because there were some Kinks albums I really didn't like. I mean, I'm not into Moose Welly Hillbillies. Their country album, I was not. I really hated that album. I give it a 5 out of 10. A really bad review on that one. I didn't really like anything on it, and other people love that album, but I don't know. I didn't like the country aspect. And this is what makes King so interesting is that they went through so many different eras and genres, which I had no idea. You know, that early, like I said, blues rock period, and they went more into a pop period, like the British Invasion Band, you know, pop period kind of thing, and into some rock and pop and whatever. And then they do some more theatrical stuff. Um, and they even did like a country album, and then they even get into more hard rock and more punk rock at times. And I don't know, they really kind of changed their sound throughout their career, which I thought was very, very interesting. Um, Nick's going to mention the operatic period. Yeah, they made like 4 theatrical albums, like almost like these rock operas that were mostly very terrible, except I liked one of their albums in that period. Um, the last one, I'm forgetting the name of. Um, but Preservation Act 1 and 2, Preservation Act 2, I think it's called, is probably the worst album I've ever heard in my life. It's a double album, and it's like a rock opera, has like a whole story behind it. It is awful. It is so bad. I could not believe how bad that album was. Mind-boggling bad. And Preservation Act 1's not that good either. And they did another one like Soaps or something like that. I don't know, it was really bad. Then they did one that I actually liked because it had more of a new wave sound to it. Anyways, so yeah, but it's a very weird period. I mean, very weird period for them. It's like, what are they doing? Why'd they go away from the sound that made them so big and did this whole operatic, theatrical kind of live, you know, like stuff they do live and do costumes and stuff like that. I don't know. Very weird period for them. Hey Scott, how's it going? Talking about my top 10 favorite bands of all time. Um, yeah, then I think, okay, surely they have no more good albums. But no, then comes Sleepwalker. Um, Sleepwalker, that's my favorite Kinks album, which if you're a Kinks fan, you'd be like, what, Sleepwalker? Yeah, I absolutely love that album. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Sleepwalker is such a good song on there, but there's a lot of good songs on that album, which I can't remember on top of my mind, but it's a really good rock album. And I think Dave Davis really coming to his own as a rock guitar player. Was really good on that album as well. There's like one really good ballad, but there's some really good rock stuff on there. And yeah, yeah, really love that album. I think visually, another album I gave 10 out of 10 out of. I thought this was my second favorite Kings album. I thought that album was really great as well. Again, there are not any big hits on those albums, so it's like one of those really cool discoveries where I was like, "Wow, this album's way better than I ever expected." Like, because I had no expectations for these albums, and it turned out to be really, really good. Um, and then yes, uh, now I'm forgetting the name of the album, but I think Misfits was an album I really liked on there. I don't know if it's that album that has another song about cross dressing, which is Out of the Wardrobe, which is another kind of funny song, but very catchy, like way catchier than it should be. What's it called? State of Confusion, another album I really like out of the band. Very solid album. And there's so many great songs like "Don't Forget to Dance," and there's another song about dancing that's really good in there. But yeah, there's a lot of great songs in this '80s period, which really surprised me. So yeah, the Kinks made it into number 8 on my list. Surprisingly, really grew to love the Kinks because of going through the whole discography. Um, so I recommend anybody go through all the Kinks, go through all their albums. There's some really good stuff there that you might not expect. Experimentation that fell flat. Yeah, they probably experimented a little too much during that theatrical period for sure. Um, Preservation Act 2 is like if they took Tommy and the Wall, made into a horrible child. Exactly. It's like they heard Tommy and was like, I can do that. Ray Davis. It's all Ray Davis. Ray Davis kind of came up with all these crazy ideas, and it's like I can do that too. And it's like, no, you can't. You can't make anything on the level of Tommy, I'm afraid. So just go back to making really catchy pop and rock music and ballads, and they do. Um, oh gosh, let's see. I think what's next. Think Visual took me a bit to like, but I'm starting to. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm probably surprised Nick by all the albums I like. They're problem with the albums Nick was expecting me to love, but I fell in love with Sleepwalker and Think Visual. I think are really good albums. See, Stadium Fusion is really good late album. Come Dancing. So yeah, it's Come Dancing. That's the song I was thinking of. Really catchy song. I really like Come Dancing. Um, let's see. It's a shame. Come Dancing and Don't Forget to Dance. Don't Catch On. Yeah, I like both songs about dancing. Really good stuff. But yeah, so Kinks here at number 8 on my list. Number 7, I'm going with the Beach Boys. I mean, I had to have the Beach Boys in here. And in my group, we talk about the Beach Boys quite a bit. We've gone through quite a bit of their albums, I think, so far. And I'm probably the least big fan of the Beach Boys. I feel like everybody in my group is probably bigger fans of the Beach Boys than I am. Yet I still really love the Beach Boys. And for me, though, it's really the '60s period, the '63 to '66, which is not a big time period, but that's to me like the best stuff that they made, album wise, song wise. I really love that period for them. I'm not really into their After Pet Sounds period though, and I know a lot of people love their albums. I haven't, and again, this is a case where I need to get more into their later albums and. Uh, Maybe I'll learn to love those albums well. I know people love what like Sunflower. Uh, I can't remember all the name of them, but I know there's all these albums that everybody loves. I want to say 2020 or something like that, or one called Holland, maybe. I don't know. Uh, I forget. But anyways, yeah, I've heard some of those albums. I haven't got into them. It just doesn't sound quite like the Beach Boys. But man, I love that '63 to '66 period. No one sounds like the Beach Boys. I was thinking about that today. Like, there's a lot of good bands that have great harmonies, but none of them sound like the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys are something cool, totally different when it comes to how they arrange music and the harmonies that they put in. It makes them so unique as a band. Like, it just no one's like them. And I think it's all thanks to Brian Wilson. He's such a master at arranging music to make it sound the way he wants it to. And I don't know how he does it, but he just knows how to take a song and then knows how to, hey, you take. I'm sure. I imagine he's like, okay, you take this, high harmony, you take the low harmony. I don't know. He knows how to arrange it and also make it more poppier sounding, I guess, and more catchy or something like that. I don't know. He just knows how to write. I mean, Mike Love was like the lyricist, but Brian Wilson just knew how to arrange really great poppy, really great sounding music. And yeah, I just loved, especially the high. I like I said, I love when they harmonize and whoever it is hitting the high notes. That's what really makes it. When they hit those high notes, it's like, oh my gosh, it sounds so great. I absolutely love it. Um, yeah, it's of course the early period is really about going on the beach, hanging out. It always felt like when I listened to it, I go, yeah, this was definitely made for kids. Uh, kids. I say kids. Teenagers going to the beach, surfing, talking to the girls, checking out the girls. Driving fast cars. Going to school. You know, that's all the songs. They're very much for teenagers, but I still love it today. So it's just so fun and poppy and lively. You know, a lot of them, and there's some great ballads in there as well. But of course, I think of stuff like "Surfs Up," "Surfer Girl." I think are some of the early albums, if I remember right. But I love songs like "Surfing USA" and "California Girls" and "Fun Fun Fun" and "Help Me Rhonda." I mean, they're just so fun to listen to and sing to, and just so many great hits out of that early period. There's and I don't remember all the albums on top of my mind, but like I said, I know I really like "Surfer Girl." It was a really good album. And then I forget, there's an album called something Volume One or something like that that I thought was like a really good album. And then of course the one that the really great discovery for me was Beach Boys Today is a really good. I give that a 10 out of 10 album. When I grew up to be a man, that was a song like I kind of knew, but then when I heard that song, I was like, man, what an amazing song! Really wonderfully written by Brian. Uh, and about his dad, telling him that he's not a man or something like that. So he wrote the song about growing up when I grew up to be a man. Just very get those nice catchy pop sounds plus really good songwriting as well. But overall, really good album, Beach Boys Today. That really was a really great discovery. But a lot of their early stuff was really good up to that point. And then you end with, I say for me, with Pet Sounds in '66, and I mean we all know Pet Sounds is one of the greatest albums ever made. It is in my top 10 favorite albums of all time. Breyer, I don't know if I should spoil his list, but that was his favorite album on his list. I think Scott has it in his top 10 in my group. So we all are like huge fan of that album, as everybody else is. I mean, it's always been a top 10 album for everybody. But yeah, it's just a perfect pop album. I didn't mention some of my favorite ballads, like "Don't Worry, Baby." I love that song so much. That's one of my favorite all-time Beach Boys songs. The harmonies, "Don't worry, baby," so good. Also love "In My Room." I think it's another great ballad. I forgot to mention, but anyways, when you get to Pet Sounds, then you get some of the best music ever. Um, you know, starting with I'm trying to think of the song. Um, wouldn't it be nice? Song. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? That song, really great song. Um, you got Sloop John B, another great song for their big hit of theirs, and then you got God Knows Why. I mean, it's like a top 10 favorite song of mine. It's my favorite all time Beach Boy song. It's like everybody. I think Paul McCartney said it's his favorite song of all time. It's just the perfect kind of ballad pop song ever written, and that only God only knows what I'd be without her. God only knows, like that round that they do, the harmonies where they're doing different parts. It's just the best thing ever. So I absolutely love those three songs. Plus Caroline No, I think is a really great song. I really love that song. But then there's so many great deep cuts in there as well. Put Your Head on My Shoulders, I believe is the name of the song there. I Wasn't Made for This World or something like that. Anyways, so many great pop songs with some great high harmonies. It is so good. And it's definitely deeper written. I feel like it's not written about surfing or girls. It's just written about, you know, deeper meanings of love and all this. Anyways, it's just a perfect album to me. Yeah, love Pet Sounds. Like I said, that's where I'm not a fan of anything after that. Even though that's they made a lot of albums that I'm not a big fan of, they still are in number 7 because their albums up to that point are so good and so many good songs that I'm just a big fan of their overall sound. Again, I just love their harmony sound. So they still get here at number 7 on my list because of all of that. Let's see. And Scott said something here. Brian usually does the high notes, but sometimes it's Bruce. Okay. I know Mike Love, I think, does more of the low stuff. He's more of a low singer. Um, and Carl, I feel like Carl can sing high too. So I don't know who sings. Usually when I hear a song, sometimes I can pick out Mike Love's voice. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know who's singing. Is it Brian? Is it Carl? They all have really good voices. Anyways, now I'm forgetting the the non family member. I'm forgetting his name. He's also, I'm sure he's got some good stuff too. Anyways, but yeah, so we got the Beach Boys at number 7 on the list. Number 6 on my list, I'm going with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I guess it's hard to say. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young at times. Um, yeah, here at number 6 on my list, and this is another interesting one where they make it. I'm a huge fan of them, and I feel like I'm the biggest fan in my group, so I had to have it on here. And it's really because of 2 albums. Their first 2 albums, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Deja Vu, are 2 of the best albums like ever made. They're both in my top 10 favorite albums of all time, and they're just, again, some of the best music ever. Again, I would say the best harmonies I've ever heard in my life. So many great harmonies. I talk a lot about harmonies, I know, but I love harmonies. I love bands that have great harmonies and all that. And Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, probably the best of all time, even in their limited kind of album run. But yeah, just such a cool. I just love the whole story of them and how they all came together. I think it's such a cool, to read about and learn about. Um, we got them from these supergroup bands, all these Hall of Fame bands on their own right. When you got Dave Crosby coming out of the Byrds, and Byrds, made some really great albums already, uh, and they were really well known. And then he gets kicked out, and then you got Stephen Stills and Neil Young coming out of Buffalo Springfield, who only made 3 albums, but the first 2 albums are really great and in their own right. So you got them 2 coming out of Buffalo Springfield. Then you have Graham Nash coming out of the Hollies, and the Hollies were making some really good albums as well. Butterfly, and I might forget what the other one's called, but anyways, they had some really good albums as well. And yeah, I love the Holly sound, love the Buffalo Spring, love the Byrds. All 3 could be like top 10 bands in themselves. No, even though none of them made my list, but the fact that they took these 3, 4 singers, talking about Neil Young, and put them together in the supergroup. It's the greatest supergroup of all time. And again, I mean, it's like, how can you imagine having these 4 guys, all are Hall of Fame songwriters and singers in their own right, um, coming together and just making some of the greatest music ever. It's just absolutely amazing. Plus, you got Stephen Stills and Neil Young, 2 absolutely amazing guitar players. I think I put them both in my top 10 favorite guitar players of all time. I think they both just absolutely outstanding. Graham Nash is actually my favorite singer in the group. I love his high harmonies. I think he's really what makes that group really shine, because I can really hear his voice when they're singing harmonies. That very high voice is Graham Nash. And I saw them sing live to Crosby, Stills, and Nash, not Young, but Crosby, Stills, and Nash, back in 2005. And when Nash sang some of the songs by himself, he had a couple solo songs. Kind of, I mean, it's with the group, but when he took lead, even back in 2005, when I saw him, I was just so amazed by his voice. I was like, man, I love Graham Nash's voice. He has such a good voice. And so I've become a pretty big Graham Nash fan. I've read his autobiography, and I've read a biography on the band. Some really good stuff there, and really great, great rock and roll stories. Lots of drugs, lots of women, that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, and so they come together. All 4 can write songs, and they do. They all 4 write songs on their own and lead sing on their own. And of course, musicianship is just outstanding as well. I mean, when you look at that Crosby, Stills, and Nash first album, "Sweet Judy Blue Eyes," one of the greatest songs ever written. My favorite Crosby, Stills, and Nash song. Love that song so much. The different parts of it and how it changes. And then again, the harmonies are just absolutely fantastic. And it ends with a really fun do 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 do. I mean, man, that closer is so good in that song. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, I'm gonna forget now all the other great stuff. Gosh, what's my second favorite songs on that album? I can't remember the name of it on top of my mind. I have to think about it here. But Wooden Ships, I love that song as well. It's on there. Marrakesh Express, a really good song um, as well. Gosh, and there's just, again, so many good songs that I'm not going to remember without taking the album out, just off the top of my mind. But I love just about every song on that album. It is so good. And like I said, my top two are just some of the greatest of all time, uh, as well. And I hate that I'm forgetting all these other great songs on that album. I think "Helplessly Hoping." That's it. See, I knew I was gonna. Okay, good. I'm glad you remember that. "Helplessly Hoping." I love "Helplessly Hoping." It's maybe the best harmony song of all time. It's just out of this world. Like I tell everybody, man, you gotta listen to "Helplessly Hoping." It's like No Fair at All for the Association. It's like it is so good. The harmonies are so good. It's just heavenly bliss, as I said. Yeah, love "Helplessly Hoping." It's a great one. Yeah, it's just so many great songs on the album. It's like a greatest hits album in some ways. And then you get Deja Vu in 1970. Following that up, you had Neil Young. You get songs like Helpless, which is really good. Oh, I didn't even mention the Beach Boys. You had Good Vibrations. Oh my gosh, Good Vibrations. What a good song. It's not even on an album. And I forgot to mention that song. But, anyways, or I guess it is on an album. But uh, it's on the next album, Smiley Smile or something like that. Anyway, sorry, I'm going back to Beach Boys. But anyways, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young. He also writes Ohio, which isn't on Deja Vu, but man, it's a great rock song. Absolutely love Ohio. But he got Woodstock written by Joni Mitchell on there. Um, I really love the first song as well, which I'm not remembering, which is a Stephen Stills song. The song Deja Vu is a really good song. Um, as well. Teach Your Children, great song from Nash. Our House, really great song from Nash, another great ballad from him. A really sweet song there. Um, oh gosh, I can't remember that first song. It's the first song they opened with too when when I saw them in concert in 2005. They opened with the very first song of Deja Vu, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, it's just another absolutely masterclass album. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. So yeah, those two albums really great. But also CSN is a really good album. I think that has a song Before I Go. It has some other great stuff on there. And then Daylight Again, I think is in the fourth album. That's also a really good album. It has Southern Cross, which is one of my all time favorite. Not only Crosby, Stills, Nash songs, but one of my favorite songs of the period. Uh, it's an underrated song. I don't know if it's a big hit, but man, the harmonies are so good on that, and it's such a catchy song. But yeah, love Southern Cross. Anyways, so the reason why they couldn't be higher is because they really made they made, I don't know if they made 5 or 6 albums, but there's 4 albums that are really good, and 2 of them are some of the greatest albums of all time. So that's why they're here on my list at number 6, basically because of those 2 albums are so great. And then the other 2 albums I talked about are really good as well. It's too bad they didn't make more albums together, but of course it's a super group, so they all kept, and Neil Young and never stay for too long. So they all had their solo work and they all kind of combined and did other stuff together. Anyway, so it's a very interesting band overall. But yeah, I absolutely love the overall sound. It's just absolutely amazing. So number 6, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I guess I'll put Young at the end there. Anyways, all right. So getting to my top 5 favorite bands of all time. Uh, Number 5, I'm gonna go with Led Zeppelin here, and no surprise, Led Zeppelin, one of the biggest, most famous bands of all time, and everybody in my group were all big Led Zeppelin fans, and Led Zeppelin definitely one of those bands I grew up always listening on the radio and absolutely loving their big hit songs. Of course, what can I say? The first time I heard "Stairway to Heaven," it blew me away. I was like, "Wow, that was so amazing." But there's so many other big songs on the radio, and there definitely was one of those more harder rock. To me, they're kind of more of a harder rock band than I normally listen to, but you can't deny Jimmy Page's rock riffs are just so amazing, and guitar soloing, and then John Bonham's guitar drumming. It's some of the best drumming I've ever heard in my life. Um, and then Robert Plant, I think, is a great singer. He has such a unique voice. But yeah, I was always a Led Zeppelin kind of fan, but I never really went through the albums before. And then I went through all their albums with my friends, like I said, the Music Junkies. We reviewed all their albums, and I think Jacob Martin joined us on that. And so that was real fun going through all their albums and really getting into the Led Zeppelin discography. And that's where I was like, yeah, they're just one of the greatest rock bands of all time. They have to be on my list and very high on my list. Um, it really comes down to like Led Zeppelin 1, I'm not a big fan of. I don't know, it's a little too bluesy rock. But Led Zeppelin 2, I absolutely love. I give it 9.5 out of 10. Uh, one of the great opening songs of all time. That dan 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 dan. I love that guitar riff. That just really sets the tone for that album. A whole lot of love. Yeah, love that song. A whole lot of love. My second favorite Led Zeppelin song, and Led Zeppelin 2 is my second favorite Led Zeppelin album. But there are so many big hits on there. Heartbreaker, I absolutely love, and I know there's some other big hits that I don't have the album in front of me, but so many great rock riffs on there and great rock songs on there. Led Zeppelin 3 is a decent album. I'm not as in love with it, though it does have one of their great songs on it, of course, which I'm forgetting. What a great opening to that. Great rock song. I mean, that song really rocks. And I'm forgetting the name of it right now. I want to say it's like, I want to say it has something to do with immigration or something. But anyways, um, and then it has like another song on there that's pretty good as well. That I'm forgetting. But anyways, overall, it's a pretty good album. I think I give like an 8 or 8.5 out of 10 on that album. And then you get to Led Zeppelin 4, another like top 20 favorite album of mine, one of the greatest rock albums of all time. Uh, yeah, what can you say? Yeah, Stairway to Heaven, my favorite Led Zeppelin song, one of my favorite songs of all time. What amazing song from start to finish, and how it builds up to from a ballad to one of the incredible rock songs, and the drumming and that guitar solo with that drumming. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. Like I still get goosebumps every time I hear that song. People say it's played too much. I disagree. I can play it every day and never get tired of that song. But I do love Black Dog. I think it's amazing as well. Um, Misty Mountain Hop is really good. That's a really cool song as well. And then the last song is really good. I think it's like When the Levee Breaks or something like that. It's a really cool kind of bluesy rock song, which I'm not into bluesy rock song, but it has such a good groove to it that I actually really enjoy that song. Uh, Even the lesser songs aren't great, but still not terrible. And all the great songs are so good on that album that really kind of makes for that. Anyway, so love Led Zeppelin 4. House is Holy. I really like that album. That's another like 9 out of 10 album for me. With Over the Hills and Far Away and Jamaica, love those songs. Ocean is it Ocean? What a great closer. Rain Song is great as well. And Dancing Days, really love Dancing Days. And again, just so many iconic songs and rock riffs and all that. Yeah, House of Holy, really great album. I'm not into Physical Graffiti, though I do love Kashmir. It's a great song. It's just too, I don't know, too many songs and not all of them I absolutely love. Anyway, so I know a lot of people love Physical Graffiti. I'm not into that album. And then was it? I'm forgetting. The Presidents was a weak album, except for Achilles' Last Stand. Some of the best drumming I've ever heard in a song. Where I was like, okay, John Bonham is making his case for being the best drummer of all time. I totally understand why people say John Bonham is the best drummer of all time. For me, it's like Keith Moon and John Bonham are like kind of tied for first. I love both drummers. Anyways, but yeah, that's incredible playing for John Bonham, I think, on that song. Um, then one of the last albums, which I'm forgetting the name of the album, but Fool in the Rain. I love Fool in the Rain. I love the drumming too. The drumming is amazing. But that bum 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 bum, that overall riff is so catchy. Can't get out of my head. And All of My Love, I love that song as well. So there's really good stuff on that last album. I think the last album uh, as well. Anyway, so overall, there's like for me like 3 absolutely amazing albums and a couple other really decent albums in that discography. But overall, their overall sound, they just really, to me, I never heard anybody sound quite like Led Zeppelin. Just the musicianship is just so amazing. Jimmy Page is my second favorite guitar player. Bonham is, to be honest, my second favorite like drummer. Robert Plant, I don't know where he is. He's probably somewhere in my top 10 favorite lead singers. I know I'm not talking about the bass player. I know he's good, but I don't think about bass players as much. Sorry, Briar. I don't think about bass playing quite as much as the other ones, but I know he's probably very good as well. Um, Overall, yeah, just some of the great rock musicians of all time, and has made some of the great, catchiest, most iconic rock songs. So, yeah, I had to have Led Zeppelin here at number 4 on my list. Number 5, sorry, number 5 on my list with Led Zeppelin. So we get to number 4. Number 4 on my list, I'm gonna go with the Who. The Who at number 4. It's hard. Led Zeppelin and Who are so back and forth for me. Both are just some of the best rock bands of all time, and musicianship, like I said, some of the best musicians of all time, I think, in rock music, and made some of the greatest albums as well. But yeah, the Who at number 4, and I've been a big Who fan since I was a teenager when I first discovered Tommy for the first time. My dad, the first time I heard the Who was the song "Won't Get Fooled Again." I heard "Won't Get Fooled Again" is this great rock song. I'm like, never heard this song before. Like, I don't remember ever hearing it on the radio. And so I got around to listen to it, and I was like, yeah, that's like one of the greatest rock songs of all time. Absolutely love. That's my favorite Who song, and it's probably my favorite rock song of all time. To be honest, it is so amazing, that song. Anyways, after that, I was like, okay, I need to get into the Who, and so I asked my dad like what I should listen to, and my dad said Tommy was a big album, so I listened to Tommy, and that's such a crazy album to get into because it's this rock opera, which I never heard of rock operas before, and it's like, what is a rock opera? And then I heard it, and I go, wow, this is amazing. I love this idea of rock opera, rock music with a little more theatricalness to it. When done right, could be very fun. When done wrong, it could be really horrible, like Preservation Act 2 from the Kinks. But Tommy was really, really cool. The instrumentation and everything that Townsend put together was amazing. Some really good, catchy music. Daughtry sang the heck out of that album. And it told a weird story. And my only problem is I don't like the story. But at first time, I was like, okay, this is weird. The Acid Queen, the Bully Kevin, all this stuff. And then stuff with Uncle Ernie, I absolutely hate. That really hurts the album. But you got Pinball Wizard, one of my favorite. Uh, it's like a top 5 favorite Who song. I love Pinball Wizard, and there's so much great stuff. Like the Christmas song is great. The song about the mirror and free and I'm Sensation. Then you got the See Me, Feel Me, Hear Me parts. That are very iconic. Yeah, so there's a lot of very cool stuff in there. It's maybe a little long. There's maybe too many instrumental stuff in there, but overall, uh, incredible that Townsend put that together. So that's the first time I heard them, and it's like, okay, I'm really liking a lot what I'm hearing here. And then I heard Who's Next, and Who's Next is like one of the greatest albums of all time. Who's Next is in my top 10 favorite albums, and that's where you get probably the greatest opener closer of all time um, with Bob O'Reilly at the beginning, which should be called like Teenage Wasteland, but it's Bob O'Reilly. What a cool intro to that. And that Teenage Wasteland, the whole part. I love that. The guitar playing is great. Yeah, what a great opener. And then he closed it with Won't Get Fooled Again. Like I said, some of the best drumming I've ever heard. Keith Moon's amazing on there. Townsend, Entwistle, And then that scream, the scream with it's just, I never get tired of that song. It's like Stairway to Heaven for me. It's like, I listen to that song almost every day. When I'm in my car and I put my playlist on, that song comes on almost every day, and I just love it. I never get tired of it. But then it has a lot of other good stuff. Bargain's great. Has a couple of Right in Tune, I think. Some good ballad stuff. Behind Blue Eyes. I mean, it's just one of the greatest albums of all time. And yeah, after hearing that, I was like, oh man, I'm really loving the Who. Then I didn't really get much more into it until I got into doing this YouTube channel. And then Nick is a huge fan. My friend Nick, Townsend 505, is the biggest like Who fan I've ever met. And when we started going through the Who albums, I then discovered more Who albums and songs and all that. And of course, I already knew the song My Generation is a great song. And I heard that album. That's a pretty solid album. The Kids All Right is great. The Ox, was it the Ox, whatever, is a really cool instrumental. Really good stuff on there. And then Who Sell Out. Never knew about Who Sell Out. And it's such a cool album, cool idea. I really like that album as well. I gave it 9 out of 10. Um, of course, I Can See for Miles is a great single off of there. But overall, really cool idea of an album that sounds like you're listening to the radio with even radio commercials coming in. I think it's really cool. And there's some great singles that are even on the albums, like Pictures of Lily, Magic Bus, Substitute. I mean, there's some really good singles that aren't even on these albums at this time. So there's some really cool stuff. This is the early stuff. And then you get into Tommy, like I said, and then Who's Next right after that. I'm not into Quadrophenia. I don't know. That's not a rock opera I've gone into, though. I have to hear it multiple times to get into it. So far, I haven't gotten to Quadrophenia, even though I know people like that album. But then Who by Numbers, I thought was a really good album. Some good stuff on there. No big hits, but still a solid album. And then the album that really floored me was Who Are You? Uh, I wasn't. No one really talked about this being like one of the great albums. I love Who Are You. Of course, the song is my second favorite. Who song, Who Are You, is another just absolute epic song from Townsend. And one of the most catchy sing-alongs, the Who Are You? Who? Like, yeah, it's a perfect song for a band called Who to have a song called Who Are You? But man, that whole album is like perfect. It's, again, in my top 10 favorite albums of all time, which I was not expecting when I heard it. And I was there and I go, I love every song on this album. And Guitar and Pen, I love that song. That's my top 10 favorite Who songs now. And it was a song I never heard of until it was introduced to me by Scott and Nick. And I was like, this song's amazing. The guitar playing is amazing. Oh gosh, it's just it's like, man, if there's one song you never heard of from the Who that you need to hear, Guitar and Pen is the song. I think that was never a big hit, but is an amazing song. But yeah, there's so many other great songs on the album. Like I said, I love the whole album. Yeah. So after hearing Who Are You, I was like, that's what really puts the Who into my number 4 spot. It's kind of like the same thing I said about who was I talking about? I don't know if it was, well, they have 2 albums in my top 10, and I think I mentioned Crosby, Stills, Nash. Like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and the Who are 2 bands I have, and there's another one I'll talk about here, but they're like 2 bands that have 2 top 10 hits. That's pretty big. They have 2 albums in my top 10 from 2 different bands. And there's a third band that has actually even more, but that's pretty good. That's what makes you into my top 5 favorite bands of all time when you have 2 of the best albums ever made, in my opinion, which is Who's Next and Who Are You. So that really puts in there, besides the fact that My Generation is really good, and Tommy and Who's Still Out and Who by Numbers. Even I forget now, the album after Keith Moon died, I think is actually still a pretty decent album. And then there's like one album I really didn't like right after that. And then they made some albums like later on in like the 2000s, surprisingly, that actually aren't that bad. They're not their best stuff, but it still is like, it's not too bad. Anyways, but yeah, but their peak period is one of the best peak periods of all rock history. Keith Moon's my favorite drummer of all time. John Entwistle is my favorite bass player of all time. Townsend is a top 10 favorite guitar player for me. Rod Daughtry's in my top 10 probably favorite, lead singers. So yeah, musicianship is just some of the best I've ever heard. Yeah, so they're right here. Gotta have them here at number 4, The Who. Let's see, Scott. Yes, who are you? Yes, who are you talking about? No, not Yes. That's another band. The band? No, not the band. Who? I love that whole shtick. I need to find that sometime and play it out. All right, so top 3. I don't know if anybody would be surprised at my number 3 here. I think my top 2, you're not going to be surprised. I think most people who know me know my top 2. Number 3, you might be surprised, but number 3, I'm putting the Eagles. I'm putting the Eagles in here, which Scott will be happy if he's in there in the chat. I think Scott would be happy for me with the Eagles. I know Nick will not be, because Nick's not as big on the Eagles as me, but I do love the Eagles. Yes, Scott says yes. And it's really lately I went through the whole discography, and they're not that big really. That's one of the surprises, is they don't really have that big of a discography. I can't remember how many albums exactly. Maybe only 7 albums. I don't know. It's like the first album, surprisingly, I really do not like. That's my least favorite album, which people love that album. It's a little too country for me. I mean, they definitely start out, they're kind of a country rock band, I think is what they're kind of, put in genre-rise. But really that first album is very country, and I don't like a lot of stuff on there, except for they have 2 of their best songs on that album. Take It Easy and A Peaceful Easy Feeling. I love both songs, and it really shows what I love about the Eagles is uh, the overall sound is so amazing. I love the harmonies. The harmonies are so freaking good. One of the best harmony bands of all time, and that's what I love about the Eagles. Some of their biggest hits got these great harmonies in them, but great pop songs, very fun to listen to, and take it easy. So good. Take it easy. Um, Something Sedona, Arizona, bum 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 to see my lord. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's just so freaking catchy. Love Take It Easy. Peaceful Easy Feeling is just one of the most chill songs, and I love about the Eagles. They have so many great, just really nice, lovely, chill songs that you listen to, and you just so soothing. Love listening to them. Anyways, but then Desperado, I think, is a really good album. I love the concept of it as being kind of this, cowboy, Wild West theme to it. And you get, the great ballad Desperado, of course, Don Henley, really great singer and drummer, really good, And you got a couple of, you got him and Joe, is it Joe Fry? Fry, they both are really good lead singers. So you got two really good lead singers. I think Joe Walsh maybe can lead sing every once in a while. And the bass player, I can't even, Meisner is a really good singer. The bass player has some of the best tenor voice I've ever heard. I don't think he lead sings a lot, but when he does, I'm always like, man, I love Randy Meisner's voice when he was in the band. Yeah, Glenn Fry. I said Joe Fry. Glenn Fry. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, Glenn Fry. Really two really good songwriters and singers. And then, yeah, I know they went through a couple of different, changes, I think, but also Tequila Sunrise, another great song off Desperado, and Whatever Happened to Something. What's that song? It's a really good song on there. They have the Jesse James song, I think, on there as well. It's a really cool song. Really cool album, Desperado. And then you get to one of the greatest albums of all time, Hotel California. It's in my top 20 favorite albums. And it's definitely an album. It's funny that at first I was like, yeah, it's okay. But then the last time I listened to it, I was like, no, this is one of the greatest albums of all time. Hotel California is my favorite song. It's kind of the typical song, I know, but I just love that song. I've always really loved that song from the Eagles. Just the way it begins. That beginning is so cool with the drum. Bum, bum. On a something higher. And I can't remember the lyrics. Um, uh, yeah. Lyrically, it's really cool, though I don't know what the song's about, but still pretty cool lyrically, but great vocals. And then you end on one of the greatest guitar solos of all time, the double guitar solo from Joe Walsh and Don Fielder. That's partly what I love about the Eagles is I love Joe Walsh and Don Fielder's guitar playing is so freaking good. To have two really incredible like lead guitar players playing at the same time is so what makes them so good. And I love that double guitar solo at the end. That's what really makes that song one of my favorite, anyways. And it's a kind of a longer song, somewhat, but man, it's amazing. I know you have uh, what's it called? There's a rock song on there. I'm forgetting now. Fast Lane, Life in the Fast Lane. One of their more rockier songs on there. Um, Gosh, there's another really great song on there. I'm forgetting now. The Last Resort, I think, is really great as well. Um, what's that song called? Um, Maybe you'll remember it, Scott. I'm forgetting one of the songs on the album I really love on that one of their one of their hit songs on there. But yeah, the hit songs are great. The deep cuts are great. Yeah, I really love that album. I think it's an absolute masterpiece album. And then it's funny, I don't remember a lot of the other albums in my mind, but I know I love all their. It's like one of those things where like all the albums in the middle, I absolutely love. It's like the first album, the last album are the weak albums, and everything in between are all like 10 out of 10 albums. They're just absolutely amazing albums. And that's why they're here this high at number 3 on my list, for goodness sakes. Is when I was going through their albums, I just go, man, each album is so freaking good. And there's so many big hits on there. Take It to the Limit, Lying Eyes. They have Eagles has. Of course, they have like the biggest greatest hits album of all time that it's like sold so many, which I have. I have the greatest hits album as well. But they just have so many huge hits I absolutely love, and because of the harmonies, because their ability to write great melodies is so incredible. And like I said, the musicianship is amazing too. Best of My Love is one of my favorite too. I do love their love ballads; are so good. Like Best of My Love, oh my gosh, when they go into those harmonies, it is so good. Um, and I know there's like many other songs I'm not going to remember top of my mind. Again, I didn't make notes; these were just kind of on top of my mind, kind of thing. And maybe Scott can remind me. Like I think he said, "All the Long Run" is a great album. And another really great album I'm forgetting on top of my mind, which I know I'm talking about my favorite band. I can't remember their albums, but I believe me, I do love their albums. That's why it's this high. Let's see, Don Fielder makes me want to pick up the guitar. Yeah, yeah, I love Don Fielder with that double guitar. I love that. Um, Such a cool look. And I love Joe Walsh. He's from the state of Kansas, by the way. Uh, See, their album got better as they go up to Hotel California. Yeah, they'll see. The Long Run is pretty good, and we won't talk about the last one. Yeah, yeah, Long Run's good, and there's another one that I really love out there. There's like 4 albums in a row, like Desperado, Hotel California, Long Run, I think, and there's another album. There's like 4 albums in a row. They're all like absolutely amazing albums. One of These Nights, that must be the other album I'm thinking of. Yeah, and that's a great song too. One of These Nights, and I mean, there's so many great songs I'm not even remembering top of my head. But yeah, One of These Nights is great. Yeah, so many great songs, so many great. I think vocally so great. The harmonies are so great. Musicianship is so great. And there's like 4 albums that are like just absolutely amazing, like right in a row. If I'm right, maybe 5, if I have to look at my list. But yeah, all the way here at number 3, Eagles. Absolutely love their sound, and Hotel California, one of the great albums of all time. So yep, number 3, Eagles. All right, number 2. Most everybody knows my number 2. Probably guess what my number 2 is, and it is Queen, which Briar would be happy to hear. Queen at number 2 on my list, as well as Nick and Scott. I mean, Jacob, we all love Queen. Queen's another. There he is. Oh my gosh, Briar, where'd you come from? Someone say Queen. Yes, Queen at number 2 on my favorite band list. Briar. Uh, how did he do that? How does he come out of nowhere? Doesn't make one comment until I say Queen, and all of a sudden he's in the chat. Um, yes, Queen. And this obviously Briar. It's funny. Well, growing up, I was a fan of Queen. I didn't know any of their albums really, except for like Night at the Opera. I think I heard it was like the great album. But I mean, for me, it was hearing Bohemian Rhapsody the first time. That's like my introduction to Queen, and going, "What is the song? This is the craziest song I've ever heard, and I love it." When I saw Wayne's World and they played that song, I was like, "This a real song?" And it's like, "Yeah, this is a real song from Queen." I'm like, and ever since then, I've absolutely loved that song. It's my favorite Queen song. It's like a top 10 favorite song of all time. It's like Hotel California, Stairway to Heaven, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. They're all like they're up there. God Only Knows. I mean, these are all top 10 songs of all time for me. And yeah, so that kind of introduced me there. And then I kind of realized I knew more because there's so many there's so many big Queen hits on the radio that I didn't realize I think were Queen songs. Um, of course, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I think I heard that on when I was watching Mighty Ducks 2, the second Mighty Ducks movie. They played both songs on there, and I was like, man, I really love these 2 songs. And it's like, that's Queen. I'm like, that's Queen. Oh man, another great songs. Um, Somebody to Love, You're My Best Friend, even you know, Radio Gaga or Killer Queen. There's so many, Don't Stop Me Now. There's so many big hits on the radio. Another one, Bites the Dust. I mean, and it's crazy because they don't necessarily all sound the same either, but uh, still, it's got that great Queen sound to them. But yeah, so I heard all these songs on the radio, and I consider myself a Queen fan. I thought, yeah, Queen's are really cool. Obviously, I knew Freddie Mercury is like this great lead singer and very dynamic on stage, and Brian May, great guitar player, love him. Uh, then Taylor and uh, great drummer as well, and then the bass player, which I'm forgetting his name, and probably going to hate me for forgetting the bass player's name, but the bass player is really good as well. I'm sorry. But anyways, so I knew a little bit. And then when I got into the Music Junkies, my friend group, and I started this channel, and I met Briar, and I found out Briar's favorite band was Queen. And I was like, huh, I've never met anybody whose favorite band wasn't the Beatles. Everybody I knew, the favorite band was the Beatles. And then I meet someone's like, Queen's the best band. I'm like, really? Queen? They're better than the Beatles? How are they better than the Beatles? And so then we went through their albums. I went through the whole discography, did a whole deep dive on them, and we reviewed the albums on the everybody's. It feels like we've done on Briar's channel, we've done on Nick's channel. We've been reviewing all these albums. So I've been just kind of bombarded with Queen albums and songs since I kind of made friends with Briar, Scott, and Nick, and because of that, I just fell in love with Queen and thought they're even better than I even expected. I liked Queen. Now I love Queen. Again, going through their albums and yes, John Deacon. That's it. I know, John Deacon. Poor John Deacon forgot again. I know, and I thought in my mind, I can't believe I forgot John Deacon. I feel so bad. Because there's this whole joke about forgetting the bass player, and I forgot the bass player, of course, just like everybody else. But sorry, Briar. I know you like bass players. Yeah, so then we went through the Kinks, of course. At first, I wasn't into the first couple albums, but now I actually like the first album. I think the first album's actually a pretty good album. I'm not in Queen 2 as much. Share Heart Attack, I really like that album now. I didn't like it at first, but now I like it. It has Killer Queen, I believe, on it, and like Stone Cold Crazy, and some interesting stuff on there. And to me, where the albums really get great, of course, Night of the Opera. Yeah, Night of the Opera is one of the great albums. It's a 10 out of 10 album. Has Bohemian Rhapsody on there. Has My Best Friend. The Prophet song is such a cool song as well on there. And I'm not going to remember every song, but yeah, absolutely amazing album, of course. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, yeah, I understand why this is such a beloved album amongst Queen fans. And then I hear Day of the Races, and I'm like, I think this album's actually might be even be better than A Night at the Opera. And you have Somebody to Love on there and so many other great stuff. And just love the overall sound, of course. Like I said, Freddie Mercury is such a great singer. They're a great rock band, but also can do great pop stuff, can do great rock or great ballads, And Mercury, I felt like when I was listening to him, I was like, it's one of those things where everybody's like, Freddie Mercury is the greatest like lead singer of all time. And I go, maybe, I don't know. I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon. And then I listen to the albums, and I go, yeah, he's the greatest lead singer of all time. It's like he can do rock, he can do pop, he can do ballads. I feel like you throw anything in front of that guy, and he's gonna make a hit song out of it and a really good song out of it. He's just that good of a singer. I mean, he can hit big notes. He can give off, that vulnerability you need in a singer. Gives off the emotions you need into a singer. He just does it all. Anyway, besides the whole band being just really great, musicians and all that. But yeah, then you got News of the World, and you got We Will Rock You, and We Are the Champions on there. But it has another great, again, I'm forgetting all the deep cuts, but I know there's a lot of great deep cuts on all the albums as well. I have the albums. I just need to pull them out and I can look at it. But yeah, so many great stuff on there. And then I got to jazz, and no one talks about jazz really that much. Jazz is my favorite Queen album, which is a big surprise to everybody because everybody says Night at the Opera, but I don't know. I really love jazz. And I think it's because, Don't Stop Me Now is amazing. Fat Bomb Girls. I love Fat Bomb Girls. It's just a really cool rocking song. It's one of the great choruses of all time. I don't know. I love the guitar on there. I don't know. It's just amazing. I love Fat Bottom Girls, and just the name of it is just kind of funny as well. And then you have In Only 7 Days. In Only 7 Days is probably my favorite deep cut of all time. It's in my top 10 favorite songs from Queen. It's such a beautiful written song by Deacon, I believe, wrote it, and it's just a really good storytelling. And it's like it's like if you haven't, if there's one song you never heard of that you need to hear, it's In Only 7 Days. That is such an amazing Queen song that everybody needs to listen. There's so many other good stuff like Jealousy and It's Late and Teach Retta and 39. Gosh, I'm gonna forget. There's so many great deep cuts that you got to listen to from this band besides their multiple big hits. But that's what really gets me is the deep cuts are so good. Even like Tie Your Mother Down and stuff like that is really good as well. I know that these aren't jazz songs, but I'm just thinking out loud, like all the great, The Long Way, I think, is a song, if I'm right. It's really great. What's it? Spread Your Wings is great. I mean, there's just so many great deep cuts. But anyways, talking about jazz though, yeah, I love those songs. Bicycles is really good as well, and yeah, it's just a really underrated album to me. I really love jazz. It's a 10 out. Those are 4 10 out of 10 albums. And Night of the Opera, Day at the Races, News of the World, and Jazz. To me, it's like one of the greatest. And then I even throw like Sheer Heart Attack on there, which I gave a 9 out of 10. You have like a really great like 5 in a row, I think, from Sheer, in my opinion. Sheer Heart Attack to Jazz is just like one of the greatest runs of all time, where you got 9 out of 10 and then 4 10 out of 10s in a row. So I mean, yeah, to say I love Queen, I tell you, not very many bands have that many 10 out of 10 albums, and you got 4 right in a row for Queen. Anyways, yeah, love those 4. Even The Game, I think, is next. You got No One Bites Dust and um, Crazy Thing About Love. Really good stuff there. And then also what surprised me, and again, there's that one album that people don't like, and I don't like it either. So I'm kind of on I'm not one of the defenders of that album, which I'm forgetting the name of. But then you get to The Works. Works is a really good album. That one really surprised me. I was like, wow, I didn't expect to love The Works so much. And then Kind of Magic, I really love that album too. I think that's a really good album. So there's like at least 8 really good albums out of the what 12, 13 discography album list. There's like 8 really good albums. I mean, that is incredible. And a lot of people say Queen is not an albums band; they're a singles band. They only have singles. They don't have good albums. I disagree. There's 8 really good albums out of this discography that I recommend to everybody to listen to. And like I said, 4 10 out of 10 albums that I absolutely love. Anyways, so yeah, again, like you say, in my opinion, some of the greatest albums I've ever heard. Great songs, great deep cuts, great hits. Bohemian Rhapsody is amazing, and just a really great overall sound as a band. Headed by one of the greatest lead singers, let's say the greatest lead singer of all time, uh, Freddie Mercury. So yeah, I'm with you, Briar. Queen, not number 1 for me, but number 2. Uh, but thanks a lot to you guys for showing me more Queen and helping me fall in love with them, like all of you are. Let's see. Bohemian Rhapsody came out on Halloween. It's turning 50. No way. 50. Wow. Let's see. Any top 10 band list with Queen in it is good list. Okay, thank you. My list is fine for you. All right. So number 1, who's my favorite band of all time? Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess what my number 1 favorite band is? Is it a surprise? Would it be a surprise if I told you my favorite band of all time is the Beatles? Probably the most obvious answer of all time, but it's a list, so I got to talk about it. I've talked about the Beatles so many times on the channel, on everywhere I go. I talk about the Beatles. I talk about the Beatles because I'm obsessed with the Beatles. I've been since I was like 10 years old, and I'm 42. So, but like the last 32 years, I just been loving the Beatles and reading and watching anything I could out of them. Anyways, but yeah, Beatles are gonna be number 1 for me. It's always gonna be number 1. I'm sorry, no one's gonna topple the Beatles for me. And it was a band that I really fell in love with. Like I said, when I was 10 years old, my older sister got into the Beatles. She was 13, and she started talking about the Beatles. She started, bringing albums, and so I was hearing these albums that my sister was playing from the Beatles, and I was like, man, I'm really liking what I'm hearing. And I think it's because my sister was into it. I got into it, and then I found out my dad was a Beatles fan as well. So it was one of those things where my dad, my sister, and I really bonded over the Beatles. Like it was one of the biggest things we bonded over, I think, the 3 of us. My mom wasn't as big as, I think she likes the Beatles, but she's not a big Beatles fan like we have been. Like I said, I just kind of become obsessed with them after I was about 10 years old. I listened to all their albums, And at that time, it was cassette tapes. I remember we had all the albums on cassette, and I would listen to all of them. We'd listen to them in the car when we would be driving. We went and saw them. We saw a tribute band in Branson when I was 10 years old called 1964 Tribute. I thought it was a really cool concert. Probably the first concert I ever been to, and I was like blown away because they looked and sounded just like the Beatles, and I was just like, man, I love this. And I just became a Beatles. I was like a really new Beatles fan. And I was already like loving hearing the live music. The anthology came out like maybe the next year in 1995, and loved the whole anthology that they did on TV, kind of spanning the whole Beatles history. So I got the whole Beatles history through that, which was really great. So yeah, there's so much Beatles stuff that happened to me at that age that really just made me a big Beatles fan. And then as I got older, I just became more and more of a big Beatles fan, kind of diving more into their history and to the individual Beatles themselves, you know, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, and getting to how they, you know, reading books about them, like I said, watching documentaries, just soaking up everything I can about the Beatles, which I'm not saying I'm like the biggest expert, but I know quite a bit. I'm pretty good with Beatles trivia and history. I just obsessed over them so much. And even right here, right next to me, I'll even show it right next to me, a book I'm reading right now. Um, John Paul, George, and Ringo, the definitive illustrated chronicle of the Beatles, 1960 to 1970. So right beside me, this is the book I've been trying to get through. Anyways, I also have the Beatles anthology book that I'm reading as well right now, and I've read, of course, their Mark Lewison's book, Tune In, all these years. I'm ready for Volume 2. I've been waiting over 10 years for Volume 2 on that. I can't wait till that comes out and gets more into their I think it's going to delve into 1963 into 1966 maybe, like their best period, anyways. But yeah, so I'm just obsessed with reading about the Beatles, and never get tired of listening to music. Never get tired of talking about it. Never get tired of reading books, watching documentaries. I've seen so much stuff, read so much stuff. Never get tired of it. I don't know. It's weird. It's one of those things where I just got real obsessed with it as a kid, and just never stopped being obsessed with them. And I even talk about their music, but what can I say? It's one of those things where I think they just the perfect combination of great lyrics, great melodies written. They're not considered the best musicians, but they're still pretty darn good musicians and made some really good music. And plus, George Martin's great producer as well. And they just, of course, part of this, they just have a real fun personality about them. I have their, Hard Day's Night and Help movies I've seen many, many, many times. So they have a real good sense of humor about them that I love. And it really comes to their singing, and their harmonies are so good. Paul, John, George, especially, their harmonies are really great. I think it's where I really fell in love with the Beatles when I was young, was just hearing them singing and going, man, I love the way they sound together. But part of it is they wrote really great pop rock music. I mean, with, I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You, starting with that, really got them, really famous, Please Please Me, um, all this From Me to You, just really great pop, just really catchy music that we've never really heard before. And still great to this day. I still love that music. And then expanded to writing even, with the Bob Dylan influence with like the Help album. You got Yesterday, I think the best written song of all time, my favorite song of all time. Just absolutely beautiful song. Just acoustic guitar and orchestra, I absolutely love it. And Paul McCartney's voice, so good on that. But even, um, John's song, I always forget the name of it. You Gotta Hide Your Love Away, I think is an amazing song. Besides Help and Take It a Ride and can't I've Just Seen a Face. I mean, just so many great songs after great songs on that album. And even I didn't talk about Hard Day's Night has great rock songs, but it felt like they really were changing with Help and going more of this folk rock. But they definitely were writing even deeper songs and even more complicated songs, and their overall musicianship was getting better and the sound was getting better, and they're just writing some of the best music of all time in my opinion. When you get to Rubber Soul, it's just, again, Help is my third favorite album of all time, Rubber Soul is my second favorite album of all time, and Revolver is my favorite album of all time. So my three favorite albums came right in a row, 65 to 66. And yeah, so their overall sound is just so amazing. Like I said, I love the harmonies on like Nowhere Man, you know, so good. In My Life is one of the best written songs. I mean, John, it's my favorite John song. Absolutely love that song. The overall sound of that, plus the lyrics. Um, but you know, Norwegian Wood, I mean, is amazing. It's just an amazing album. And then Revolver, like I said, my favorite album of all time, with stuff like Eleanor Rigby is amazing. The orchestra music on that and the writing, it's some of Paul McCartney's favorite, best writing ever. Taxman is one of the best rock songs they've ever done. One of George's best songs. You know, and you get Here, There, and Everywhere, a great love song like that. And then you got Tomorrow Never Knows, and one of the greatest psychedelic songs ever, I think. And so many great stuff. Annie Burke can sing, She Said. I mean, some great rock stuff in there. I just love that album. It's one of the best rock albums. I mean, it's got rock, it's got pop, it's got ballads, it's got a Kit song with Yellow Submarine. It's amazing. And like I said, a crazy psychedelic song to end the album. Absolutely love. Anyways, yeah, so those are my three favorite albums of all time. So obviously that's why the Beatles are up here. Besides Hard Day's Night, it's a great album as well. I think Please Please Me is a really good album. You know, Sgt. Pepper is funny. I'm not as high on that. It's still a really good album. You got She's Leaving Home is one of my favorite songs of all time from them. Another really wonderful written song by Paul. Absolutely lovely. Obviously, Help from My Friends, Getting Better. Day in the Life, another top 10 favorite song, one of my favorite John Lennon songs. The orchestra build up is so incredible. And just, yeah, it's an incredibly produced song. Uh, it's just an incredible run of albums, one of the most incredible run of albums we've ever seen, and we'll never see again. I mean, that Help through Abbey Roads, you will never see anything like that. Or Hard Day's Night. Let's say, I mean, we'll take out Beatles for Sale and With the Beatles, kind of the 2 week albums, but man, that run of albums, we'll never see anything like it again, in my opinion. Great run of songs, singles that weren't even on the albums, and the albums themselves are just so amazing. Like I said, Magical Mystery Tour, another favorite album of mine. I mean, with Strawberry Fields and Penny Lanes is incredible. Um, that's another almost top 10 album for me. Like I said, only 3 bands have more than one album in my top 10. Crosby, Stills, Nash has 2. Um, the Who have 2, and the Beatles have 3 albums, my top 10 favorite albums. So that's why they're in there. But yeah, Magical Mystery Tour is amazing. Abbey Roads, again, I'm not as high in some people, but it has 3 of my favorite songs on it. Something, Here Comes the Sun, 2 of George's best songs ever. Oh, I didn't even say the White Album. Duh, the White Album. The White Album, the greatest like double album of all time. Absolutely incredible. Love that album. But yeah, Abbey Roads, of course, is a masterpiece. Um, again, let's see, Come Together. Love that song as well on there. And then you end with Let It Be, which is another album that's almost in my top 10. It's like in my top 15 albums or top 20 albums of all time. With my second favorite Beatles song, Let It Be, is so beautiful. Another really beautiful ballad from, and we even talk about Hey Jude is another amazing song that wasn't even on the White Album. But yeah, love Let It Be. What an amazing song. Great piano playing. Uh, I really love Long Winding Road. I think is another absolute masterpiece song from Paul, and great songwriting and just the orchestra. I love the orchestra music on that as well. But Two of Us is great. You know, Get Back, Across the Universe. I mean, I've Got a Feeling. There's so much great stuff on there too. I absolutely love that album. Anyways, to close their discography. But yeah, I just love all their albums. There's only a couple I'm not as big on, but overall, no one has a better discography as them. And has as many 10 out of 10 albums, which for me are like Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Magical Mystery Tour, Let It Be, White Album. I think they have 10 out of 10 albums for me. And that's not even Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road, which is their 2 most famous albums, don't even get a 10 out of 10 out of me. Yet they're really good albums. But there's just so many great albums, and it's crazy how good their albums are. And obviously, they're the biggest band in the world. Everybody talks about the Beatles. I'm no different. I'm in that group. Just absolutely love the Beatles. Always will. I don't think anybody will match what they did in that 60s period, as much as how many hit songs they made, how many number 1 singles, how many like number 1 albums they put out, in a 7-year period, and just how crazy the crowds got when wherever they went, they were mugged by crowds. It's just no one's seen the fandom that the Beatles had. I think, like I said, we never will see anything like it again. That's why there always will be considered the greatest band of all time, and I still would say they're the greatest band of all time. They'll never change. I don't know if they'll ever change in history. I think throughout history, they still been considered the best band of all time. As long as we listen to their music, we still remember their history. They'll still be remembered, I think, as the greatest band of all time, in my opinion. I know, like I said, some people say Queen, some will say other bands, but for me, it's always the Beatles. Anyway, so what more can I say? I know I talk too much on the Beatles, but I can't help it. Trying to do my best to explain why they are so great, and hopefully some of that came across in this video. So yeah, that's my top 10 favorite bands of all time. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll go through them real quick here. Number 10, The Association. Number 9, Fleetwood Mac. Number 8, The Kinks. Number 7, The Beach Boys. Number 6, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Number 5, Led Zeppelin. Number 4, The Who. Number 3, Eagles. Number 2, Queen. And number 1, The Beatles. And no Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead are nowhere near this list, and no, never will be, Briar. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. Thank you to my friends for commenting, Scott, Nick, and Briar. I'm so happy you got to comment on here and help me out a little bit. And yeah, this is a long video. I know it's hard when I start talking about fair bands. It's hard not to go on long. And you see why I had to do a live stream here. But yeah, hopefully anybody listened to this, hopefully I made some good reasons why they are great bands and why they're on my list. Anyways, and hopefully there's some bands that you enjoy as well. Besides that, in commenting, tell me what bands are your favorites. Would love to hear any comments anyways. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. And can't wait to do this again. And next time I'll talk about my top 10 favorite male singers. Male solo artists will be my next one that I'm going to do. So take care, and I'll see you later.